Yes, good evening everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yes, today we are going to be discussing the different errors that we can encounter when working with Microsoft Excel. We have quite a number of errors, and today I will be showing you how those errors arise and basically how we can go about them. So the first error we have is in this column, the J column. So when you look at the J column, we are having our header as rank, the column header is rank, and then we have hashtags. Now these hashtags basically represent an error indicating that the column width is quite small for the data that is being embedded within those particular cells. So that means that the data in the cells cannot fit within the particular cells, and therefore that calls for us to increase the column width. That is how we can fix this error. So whenever you encounter hashtags like this, just know that the column width is, or the cell width is small and it cannot accommodate the content of those particular cells. So what you do, you increase the size of the cells. What you do, you're going to come and click here, and then between, you look for the intersection between column J and then column K, and then you're going to double click, and it will automatically adjust, and you can see that we have done away with the hashtags. We have now our figures just like that. So basically that is it. Whenever you encounter hashtags, just know that the column width is very small and it cannot accommodate the values in that cell. So you have to increase the column width so that the data can be catered for appropriately. Alright, so the next error we are going to look at is hashtag name. As you can see here, hashtag name. Now hashtag name is an error that usually occurs when you're dealing with either a function or a formula, but in most cases it is with the functions. Now hashtag name is going to arise when you're typing in a formula and then you misspell that formula. Let us say you are typing average, you're looking for the average, and then you type average, maybe you miss a between R and G, and then you have something like that. Any misspell in the function is going to arise into this error, hashtag name. Now for this particular column, if you look in what we call the function or the formula bar, in the formula bar we have our formula. This comment, we remember we used the if. We used if to do what? To comment. So in this particular column of comments, we have that error of hashtag name, and it is arising as a result of a misspell in the formula. So we are going to navigate to the formula bar and then we look for any misspell. So we have equals if. I think you can see that there was a misspell here. If is being spelled with a double F. So what you do, you correct that misspell. You remove one F and you leave that to become equals if. So when you're done, you press enter and the problem has been resolved. So we have here our value being returned, promoted on probation. So I'm using the data for the previous video. So if you watch the previous video, then this video is going to be very interesting for you. So now we are going to autofill, and then our problem has been fixed. That is error number 2. Now error number 3 is what we are having here, hashtag div0. Now this one occurs when you try to divide a numerical value by 0. So it could either be you're dividing by 0 or you're dividing a numerical value by an empty cell. Whenever you're dividing, the next error that we are going to be looking at is the div0 error. Now when you look at this column, we have hashtag div0. Now this is an error that arises when you try to divide a given numerical data in a given cell by either 0 or an empty cell. Now let us try to examine this one. We have, when you come to the formula bar, we have h2. Where is h2? H2 is here. H2 has numerical data 500. So we have h2 being divided by this is j i15. Okay, so when you come to i15, i15 is here. I15 is an empty cell. There's nothing in this cell. So whenever you dividing and the cell is empty, the cell you're dividing with is empty or it has a 0, automatically it will give you a div0. Now how do we correct this error? So if I'm interested in dividing, you're going to come to the formula bar. Now it is h2, we are dividing this data in the total column, divide by i15. Now you're going to come to i15 and then you place there some numerical data. So I can put there a 5. So now my cell in i15 is no longer empty, it contains numerical data. Then you come back to the first cell under division here. So I think you can see that the error is being corrected automatically. So before you autofill, you come to the formula bar and then you're going to fix a $sign in this particular cell i15 so that it is fixed. The purpose of putting a $sign is purposely to do what? To fix that cell so that the data does not change. Because Excel, when you don't put the $sign, Excel will keep on moving from i15 to i16 looking for what? Looking for data. But when you fix it, it will be dividing all the data in the total column by the data in i15. I hope that is clear. So after fixing, you then press enter, and then you can now autofill like that. Our problem has been fixed. Then now we come to rank. Under rank we have the hashtag NA. Hashtag NA, this is basically not applicable. Now this error arises when a formula cannot locate data that you're trying to give it to do what? To locate. Now when you look at this ranking, we have equals rank, and then we are using i2, that is the average. Yes, equals rank. We have i2, and then we have, are you seeing, we have i2. Now all the cells that are involved in this formula have been highlighted. So we have equals rank i2 is here, and then we have a range from F13 to F18. So when you come here, you're seeing that this range is empty. So you're trying to rank using this range of cells, but this range of cells is not having numerical data. So when that function tries to look for that data and it cannot find that data that you're trying to use to rank, it is going to return that error saying that it is not applicable, simply because the cells you're using to reference do not contain a numerical data. So what you do, you just come and you change the referencing. So now for this particular case ranking, instead of using F13 to F18, we are going to change that, and instead we are going to use this value under average. So we shall highlight from average to the last cell there. So now this contains numerical values, and then you also fix them by pressing F4 and then you press enter. Then after doing so, you autofill, and our positions have been successfully put. So that was our fourth error. Now the other error we can look at is the hashtag value. Now this error is brought about when you're trying to mix numerical data and text. So when you have let me say you have a formula you're adding, and then you include a cell that has text, it is going to return hashtag value. So let us try to look at this. Now here we are adding cells B2. Are you seeing that we are adding A2, B2, C2, D2? Now from B2 to G2, all those cells contain numerical data. However, you're including a cell A2 which has text data. So whenever you include a cell that has text data and you're trying to add it to cells that have numerical data, it is going to display this error, hashtag value. So you're just going to come and edit this, and then remove that cell having text, and then you press enter, and that should be able to solve the problem automatically, and then you autofill like that. Then okay, so we have looked at those errors. Now there's another error that I want to show you. It is called the hashtag reference error. Now that error arises when you have computed. Now let me give you an example using the total column. Now you see this total column was got by, now when you tap in the first cell, we have our formula here that we used to calculate total. We are summing up B2, C2, D2 up to G2 to get whatever is in the total column. So now what happens? How do we get the reference, the hashtag reference error? This is what happens. You're going to, when you delete one of the cells that is involved in the formula, is that okay? When you delete one of the cells that is involved in the formula, it is going to bring that error. So let me show you here. When I delete this and then I press OK, it brings that error automatically under the total column hashtag reference, under the division hashtag reference, wherever. You know, these things, these calculations are tied to each other. So when a calculation is affected in total, it is going to affect average, it is going to affect division, all your other whatever else that you might have done using that data. So hashtag reference is brought about when you have a formula containing a given column of cells, and then maybe accidentally that column of cells is deleted. So when it is deleted, it is going to bring that error automatically, hashtag reference. So the only way to correct that is by undoing the deletion. So you come here in the top left corner and then you press undo, and it should be able to correct that automatically. Yes, I think that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment.